So tonight I'm going to do a couple of things. I'll let you know ahead. That's kind of the way we always want to do that, right? Is I'm going to give you five P's for presents. I'm going to go through there, but in the middle of that, I'm going to sandwich in one of my favorite things to talk about, which is the 7 tips that you need to do before you speak. We always think about what do you do once you're on stage, but what do you do before you get there? And that's really, really important as well. So I'll be giving you some insights, a lot from my own experience, some from other training that I've had, but I just love to share this information because the more confident you get, obviously lots of things happen. Your confidence in any one area will also transfer over to the other areas of your life. So if you're really confident as a speaker, I think it's going to make you better in the other roles that you play in your life. The very first P is preparation. And I put preparation with practice. It's really, really important. And I'll give a little kudos sort of to my dad, because he had some P's that he liked to talk about too. And he would say, poor preparation leads to piss poor performance. And so I'm not going that direction, but I mean, he pounded that into us about being prepared and always doing what you need to do. Don't wait till the last minute and then just get up and try to wing it. So it's really important, that preparation part. And the more you practice, the more you prepare, the more confident you get. And as I go through these various P's, you'll see as I pull those together. A first impression. Well, let me ask you, do you remember a quote? It's actually from Will Rogers, and it says, "You never get a second chance to
make a first impression."
There you go. I don't know that. And it's really important when you first meet someone, because you never get to do that again. The first will always be the first. So whatever that is, we want that to be your best. Wouldn't y'all agree?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Love that. So think about that your presence, your speech that you're giving, it's like the opening notes to a song. Now, y'all know I'm a musician. I'm a singer as well. So I kind of put things oftentimes in the context of music because of that. So everything that we learn adds different dimensions to your song. And as we get that first impression, and those notes kind of set the tone for what your speech is going to be and where you're going with it. And of course, that changes as you go along, and there's high points and low points. But just thinking of it, I like to think of it kind of in that context of a song. When you walk into a room, you want to think about that being, I don't want to trip on the board here, of being your stage, whether it's in a room like this or actually on a big stage, how you approach that and your confidence level and your preparation. I actually talk to the furniture when I'm practicing. I don't know where y'all practice, but when I literally do practice in my living room, sometimes in front of the dog, where we used to live. I moved here from Vegas about 2 years ago. We were there about 20 years, and then we left here from there. So we actually moved back, but in our church, it was just a retail. And because I was on the staff and stuff, I was able to go in anytime. So I would go in and practice in front of all the chairs so that I could practice my motion and all that. So it was really cool to be able to do that. And I just happen to be one of these people that loves to practice. And so it makes me feel more confident and make the words work in my mouth better. So when we're getting ready to speak, we always think about what are we going to say, and maybe you do also think about what your hand gestures are going to be. I usually move around a little bit more. You can probably tell by my hands. I use my hands when I speak. And when you're doing that, but there are 7, and here's where I'm going to give you the 7 tips before you go on stage. You are on, you'll know what I mean, you're on from the moment that your car parks in the parking lot until you go in, till you meet the people, till you give your speech, till you say goodbye to everybody, thank you for being there, until you get back in your car. People are watching you all the time. You never really know who's there. And you don't know, maybe it's your next best friend. Maybe it's some great business contact that you're going to meet. So it's really important to think about that. So when you're in your car, imagine with me that you're in your car. You're going to pull the mirror down. Men and women, this is important. Put the mirror down and look at yourself. Smile. Get that smile on your face before you even get out of the car. And look, anything in your teeth. You don't want to have that happen. How embarrassing would that be? Ladies, either apply your lipstick or reapply, freshen it up, whatever you need to do. When you're sitting there, I want you to talk a little bit to yourself, like, Delinda, you're going to nail this. This is a great group. You have a great message for them. You're going to be able to serve them and give them the notes that they need to grow to their next level. Talk to yourself. Affirmations. I have a friend that calls them declarations. I think that's just, in fact, I think I might like that even better because you're declaring these things. Is knowing that what your strengths are and how you can communicate those to other people. But more important is how you communicate to yourself. Because if you look in that mirror and you say, oh man, I hope I make it through tonight. And I hope I don't, mess up. Because as sure as you start telling yourself what you don't want to do, what happens? You do. Did any of you ever play golf? No. Well, maybe I could think of a different thing. In golf, you're always trying not to go in the water. So you're in the bar and you see this water over here and you're telling yourself, now don't go in the water. And where do you go? In the water, because that's where your brain is focused. So I think there's other examples of that. I'll have to think of another. I've never had a room where nobody played golf. So that's interesting. I love that. I get to learn a new thing. So as I said, you're talking to yourself, you're telling yourself those affirmations that you need to do. And I want you to take your phone. This is why you're still in your car. And I want you to turn it off. Not just silent. Because silent, sometimes my phone, and even when it's on silent, I have that flashing light, as that can be really distracting. So just turn your phone off. And then you're going to get out. But before you do, I want you to imagine that you've got a crowd of people waiting for you. They're waiting for you to come out. Now, there may not really be anybody there, but just pretend, imagine in your mind that they are, so that when you open that door, you're going to go out of there and you're not going to go slithering out. You're not going to try to be hiding. Okay. You're going to want to open that door, move forward, open that door and look out and smile and lift your shoulders up. Fix your dress or your pants or whatever it is, and just really imagine that there's people out there, because I'm going to assure you, in most cases, there is somebody looking at the window, looking out the door, and they're watching, and they're going to start judging you right away. They're going to say, oh, I wonder how she's going to be. They may not even know you're the speaker, and that's okay. But unfortunately, our brains tend to go towards the negative. And so people kind of start judging. So I want to give my best foot forward, my first impression, as much as I can in that positive vein. Then as you walk in, I want you to greet everybody. That smile on your face, and you say, like, oh, nice to see you tonight. And you're just walking in. It may not even be your group, depending, if you're in a hotel. Oftentimes there's a lot of other people milling around, in addition to people that might be at the conference or wherever you're speaking. So just put a smile on your face and greet people. It'll also relieve your nerves if you're just a little bit nervous. And then I have an exercise I want you to do with me. Then you can stay seated and do it, or you can stand up, whichever you want. I have found that breathing is really helpful. Not just a shallow breath, but just that deep breathing. So I'm gonna do it, and y'all do it just from your seats. I want you to breathe in really deep, and then we're gonna hold it a second and go down. So ready? Holding. Can y'all feel that moving through you? It really does. I know. Y'all don't want to raise your hands because I'm embarrassing. Oh, I'm not embarrassed, so I'll do it. Okay. Thank you. One more time. It is amazing, and there are studies that have shown that, but I'm not in the medical field, so I don't know really why it works. I just know that it really does, and it can calm. And the other thing it does for me, when I get to talking really fast, like I've just been doing the last 2 minutes, it helps me to calm my, not my nerves, but just get me not to talk so fast. So that's so much I want to tell you, and I just love to share. So that way, it kind of helps me do that as well. So the second thing that I want to bring up to you in the 5 P's, the second one is to be present and be authentic. So you think, well, of course I'm going to be present. I'm right there up on the stage. But sometimes we're not. We're showing up as somebody else. We're showing up as that last speaker that you thought was really great and you're trying to be like them. It is so important to be authentic. Present yourself as your total authentic self, because that's who people want to know. They don't really care about a whole bunch of stuff that you put on your resume. They really don't. They want to know who you are. Do you care about them? Why are you here? What message are you trying to show them? And do you care about what they need to know? And that's how they learn to know you, is by you being authentic and showing yourself, being really true to who you are. I think that's real important. And we're hearing a lot more about that in today's market, so to speak, is that a lot of stories, it's really important to tell stories, because your pain is oftentimes what's going to have someone relate to you in your story. Have you all been to where you've heard a really dramatic story and you get engaged and you're caught up in it and they show you how they survived it? It's really an inspiration, wouldn't you agree, when you see them go through that? So that's what you want to be. You want to be that inspiration. Sometimes it's a story about you. I think oftentimes it's important somewhere during your speech that you do talk about yourself from the standpoint of how that can help others. Not just to be, oh, hey, I'm so great and I did all this, but how you overcame an obstacle. How maybe you were afraid to speak and you were shy and all that, and then you learned to speak, maybe through Toastmasters, that could be, and you've learned that and you've gotten more confidence. So that helps somebody that's a beginner. Oh, well, then there's hope for me. So that being authentic. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, to be yourself in a world that's constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. And I think that's true. We had a salon in Vegas that I walked in and the whole wall was painted, had a beautiful woman's picture there, and it said, don't be somebody else, or no, it's wrong. It said, be you, everyone else is taken. So I thought that was great. So, be you with all of your faults and imperfections, but also with all of your strengths and the gifts that you have to give to someone else. Oftentimes it is our story that really grabs people. So I'm going to share a little story about one of my most embarrassing moments. It was Christmas Eve, if you can imagine. The church is all decked out. Not a Catholic church, it's a Presbyterian church. And I say that mainly because the song that I was going to sing that night is usually sung in the Catholic church. But I was going to sing the song Ave Maria. And so I got up because it needed a little explanation, because we don't normally sing that in a Protestant church. So I get up there and I'm all dressed nicely and I've done my practice and I'm all ready. This is an amazing moment because this song is not usually sung. So I get up there and I say, tonight I'm going to be singing a version of Ave Maria, and I'm using the Magnificat, which is the Song of Mary in the book of Luke. I said, and I will be singing the Sherbert arrangement. Did y'all catch that?
The Sherbert?
The Sherbert. Okay. And that's kind of what the audience did that night. I'm thinking, I am so embarrassed. Can I just hide under the table or something? So obviously I had to gather myself back together and say, oh my gosh, I so apologize. You have to laugh at yourself. What else are you going to do?
Right.
So, I gathered myself together and sang the song, and it went fine after that. And I just want to get out of the room. Anyway, it made it. About a month or so later, I ran into a friend of mine who had been there that night. And he says, hi, Sherbert, how you doing? And I said, I'm having this moment of decision. Okay, do I get snarky, say something? Do I apologize and get all embarrassed again? Or do something else? So I chose something else, and I said, well, hey, Vanessa, I'm doing fine. So, when you share those weird moments, those weird things that happen to you, then people kind of like you a little better. They don't think that you think you're all that. So anybody that can stand up there and say I'm singing Sherbert, So I said, no, it's really Schubert. And then after I say it a few times, I have a hard time saying it. So, all right. So being imperfect actually is very relatable. So if you feel like I'm just not perfect, good, because you're not. None of us are. Number 3. So make sure I get these in because they really are important. The power of confidence is number 3 in your 3 Ps. Confidence is contagious, and it happens the more we practice, the more we prepare. I think oftentimes, depending on where you are in your business or your life or your speaking, sometimes it's really helpful to hire a coach or someone who can really help you realize your strengths, because it really is about the total you, your total strengths, because you will never, this is my very own quote, you will never be your best confidence, your most confident you, until you know yourself. You really have to know who you are, what your core values are, what do you stand for, what do you believe. All of those things come in, because once you know that, then you can walk in confidence. You're not just wishy-washy trying to figure out, what's happening in your life. So really understanding that, and that can be a major mind shift for you to get from that maybe negative thinking to positive thinking, and you get to decide what it is that you want in your life. How do you want to wake up in the morning? How do you want to react when I had a motorcycle tonight, y'all. I'm driving just a nice, normal person like you're supposed to be. This motorcycle, goodness, came up so fast beside me. I thought he was going to hit my mirror off. Beside me, pushed in front, went in front of the other person. And I'm thinking, oh, goodness, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. So you get to decide, are you going to be reactionary and throw a fit every time something happens? Because if you are, that's probably how you are most of the time, because things are always happening in your life. The next thing, so that I make sure I get your 5 in, is to be passionate about what you're talking about. Now, if somebody asked me to speak on choices, I could probably speak for an hour. I wouldn't even need any notes, because that is my topic of choice. That's what I love to speak about is everybody has choices, as I was just saying, about what time you get up or when you get up and how do you get up and what do you want in your life. Are you going to be a friendly, nice person? Are you going to be snarky? What is it that you're going to be? You get to make that choice. And that's a lot of power. Thank you. That's a lot of power that you get to have once you own your choices. And when you're speaking on a subject, the more passion that you can put in it, so that people know that you really mean it, that they know that you care about that. And when you add passion to these other things, your preparation and your confidence and those other areas. So we have our preparation and being present and being authentic, the power of having confidence, and then being passionate about it. Then the very last one is promote others. Because when you're up there, it is not about you. It is about everybody else in the room. And if you've done your job as a speaker, you know who your audience is, you know what they need to hear, and you want to give that to them. You want to be a servant leader, so that you're wanting to give more back to them and you want to promote them. Like, I would definitely hire Linda to help me with real estate. I don't do residential, but she does. So I would love to, do that whenever I should have the opportunity. So building up others, you'll find that you will relate to people better and you will shine. By lifting up others, it actually makes you shine, and everybody wins on that. So I want to encourage you. You are amazing. You each have gifts and talents to share with the world. And I want you to go out and make a difference. Take your spark. Your spark is different from anybody else. So take your spark and go out and change the world.